the silent cold of winter can often have us hunkering indoors, waiting for the spring. But sometimes, stepping into the wilderness is the best way to get over the winter blues. Join Adventure Archives as we return to Seneca Creek and embark on a wild, rugged adventure to rediscover the joys of winter. It was a brisk winter day when we headed off for a winter adventure, this time revisiting Seneca Creek to explore more of what it had to offer.
We drove east, crossing over the Ohio River to West Virginia. Though it was a bit closer to home, we still had a moderately long drive ahead of us.
Naps in cars are paradox because you take a nap and then you think you feel good, but then you're just so bored later, you feel tired again. Like, I want to take another nap.
But before long, the scenery started changing. More and more hills surrounded us, and snow now dusted the treetops. We passed through a small town, then continued on into the hilly landscape. Eventually, we entered Monongahela National Forest. We slowly and carefully drove through the hills, as the roads here were slick and covered in snow.
It's a bit slippy.
The road conditions cleared up as we passed by a few houses and fields. Finally, we arrived at the trailhead.
At the trailhead, we prepped our gear, putting on any extra warm clothes that we needed and strapping waterproof boots to our packs.
It was a quintessential winter day. From the trailhead, we inspected the map and reviewed our plans.
We were hoping to hike 5 miles today and camp, then continue 6.3 miles the next day before camping and hiking back out. But we hadn't anticipated the snow, which despite being beautiful, made the terrain tougher to hike on.
It feels great. I was a little worried about the cold and stuff, but I feel fantastic right now. This is a good sign. Tons of birch trees everywhere, so getting a fire started hopefully will not be too difficult.
We continued through the snow, hiking alongside the rushing stream.
Small icicles clung to the mossy rocks as delicate snow continued to fall all around us. The winter weather felt especially invigorating and exciting to be in.
It's amazing how, as soon as you get out and start moving, how instantly you feel so good compared to being in the car.
It's amazing how hot you feel the minute you start moving.
It's better than cold right now, at least.
Even in the snow, there were mushrooms to be found.
So here we've got a fallen log with some old birch polypore growing on it. It also looks like someone dumped their mattress out here or something. Who would drag a mattress all the way out here?
As we hiked, we passed by some wilted green rhododendrons. The trail continued on a steady but gradual incline, following the creek upstream.
It had been a while since our last outing in the wilderness at Glacier National Park, let alone since our last winter hiking trip.
Man, after 3 months, it feels weird to be outdoors again. The one thought that came to my head was just how drastically different every trip we take is.
Yeah, we got lucky with that snowy weather. We were kind of expecting it to stay warm like it has been this winter, but this is a winter wonderland.
Up ahead, Andrew had seen a rodent scurrying in the snow.
It may have burrowed already, but I saw, I think, a northern short-tailed shrew just tunneling through the snow earlier. I don't want to bother it much, especially because they're like one of the only venomous mammals that exist.
They're venomous?
Yeah. It's funny, one time it was winter like this, and I was in my room, and I heard the scurrying in my closet, and I realized there was a shrew in my room, so I had to create a trap. Basically, I took a big plastic jar and put some peanut butter in it, and when it crawled in to get the peanut butter, I flipped it up really quickly, and I had to release it outside.
How on earth did a shrew get into your room?
I have no idea.
This is probably like the path where it digs under the snow, right?
I noticed those earlier. I was wondering what it was. That must be it.
From there, we crossed the stream, but the wet rocks and slick snow made it an elaborate process, though Robby managed to find a much more stable path across.
I'll lead the way on the next creek.
The path continued its gradual climb, becoming narrow and precarious in some areas.
One thing we saw in the forecast was that the wind was going to be decent, like 13 miles per hour. But luckily we're nestled in these hills. You can see the treetops swaying a bit, but down here it's pretty calm. Which is good because the wind wouldn't help with this trail because it's kind of slick, and I think we've all slipped at least once.
We came to another stream crossing, which again was full of slippery, unstable rocks.
Uh-oh.
I wouldn't recommend this route.
Not wanting to get wet in the cold, we carefully made our way across.
That's a little slick.
The hike so far had been beautiful, but we were already looking forward to resting at tonight's campsite.
You know, there are some trips where as soon as you get out of bed in the morning, you're like, I can't wait to eat dinner at the campsite and get in the tent. This is 100% one of those trips.
On the car right here, I was like, man, well, how nice it would be to just slip from that car into a sleeping bag. The trail maintained its steady upward climb along the banks of the stream. We decided to take a break and found a log along the trail to rest on and have a snack. I know I'm hungry, like my stomach, but like I'm sitting here and I feel like I have no appetite.
Yeah, same actually. I haven't eaten all day. I'm surprised how not hungry I am. It's like we're burning all the fuel we built up over the holidays.
I feel like when it's this cold out, your body has more important things than to worry about eating right away.
It's weird, when we stopped, I don't feel as cold as I thought I would, and I can actually feel some of the heat emanating off my body. It's kind of nice.
It is much more comfortable moving around than I expected. Tonight might be a different story.
One thing I do know is I'm excited to use that 4-person tent again.
I can't wait to show you guys what we're having for dinner. We're maybe halfway or a little more than halfway to the junction. Sun sets in 2 hours. There's no campsite listed at the junction.
Oh.
But I feel like the odds of there being a campsite there are kind of high.
And if not, it's a mile like downhillish to another one.
After our break, we continued on, crossing over the stream yet again.
We came to another stream crossing with unstable footing. We were carrying extra winter gear with us and had neglected to bring some other equipment as a result.
I was more confident in my boots' ability to keep the water out, so I could afford to be a little less cautious.
Are they waterproofing?
Yeah, these are super waterproof. These are Gore-Tex. The Gore-Tex! I think before the next stream crossing, we should fashion ourselves some walking sticks.
Yeah.
So that these are easier to cross.
Yeah, okay.
This one's pretty good. Bryan, you want this one?
I imagine once we get to the big incline, we won't need them. So.
We continued on, passing over a fallen tree, and Andrew kept an eye out for fire-making materials.
So these hemlock trees are another good sign that we'll be able to have a nice fire tonight. Hemlocks are always a great source of kindling. Usually on the ground you can find all sorts of branches that are nice and dry and really thin. And in a survival scenario, there's always dead branches underneath the foliage that you can break off as well.
The trail started diverging away from the creek, and we noticed the incline becoming notably steeper.
It looks like the uphill climb is beginning. We're gonna end at 4,200 feet, and we're currently at 3,200 feet. And I think there's only roughly a mile left. So it's gonna be a little bit of a cardio workout.
I'm gonna have to pace myself so I don't sweat too much. That's the most important thing for me right now.
Don't sweat until dinner time.
Yeah, I love the look of the trees when they're just caked on one side in the snow. And I'm guessing that has to do with the direction of the wind as the snow is falling.
You can feel the wind going in this direction. So
Yeah, one thing about hiking in the winter is you just forget everything else. And the only thing on your mind is taking one step after another, continually moving to stay warm and getting to your goal. But it's like all other ambitions in life, all other thoughts just completely disappear.
As we hiked, we took in the scenery around us. Up ahead, we spotted a tree with a strange growth on it.
This looks like a burl on this cherry tree that kind of died off and the bark shed off of it. I think Nordic people and the Sami people will sometimes look for burls like this in trees, cut them off and carve cups out of them. And those cups are called kuksas, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and the grain is really cool in here because it's all gnarled up, so when you actually polish it and varnish it, it looks really nice. And right over here we have a chaga fungus. Last time we were in these areas, I actually took some of this off one of the trees by our campsite and made some chaga coffee. Tastes pretty good, but it's a highly prized medicinal mushroom, even though it kind of just looks like a burnt lump.
And ahead on the trail, we saw a promising sign.
there's a campsite here. I would say we probably need to make a little more progress, but nice backup if we need it.
Man, the sky is crazy. It just keeps changing. Feels like very weird and surreal and twilighty.
In one moment, the clouds would break and reveal the blue sky with warm, diffused sunlight. In the next, they would cover the sky and cast everything in a cold, bluish hue. We kept hiking, passing over fallen trees as we navigated through the snow.
We crossed another stream and got closer to the junction. Even with the increased incline, we were happy with how the hike had panned out so far.
I'd say we have maybe a half a mile to the junction, so fingers crossed that there's actually a campsite out there.
That'd be great.
Honestly, the uphill's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I didn't want to jinx it, but this is has been pretty nice, actually.
It's really steady, but it's not steep.
It's funny, on the one hand, this hike is really not that bad right now. It's actually really beautiful, but I still am so looking forward to being at a campsite.
The only source of anxiety right now is whether we'll be able to find a campsite easily once we get to the ridge, or if we'll have to head back down.
We passed over one more stream crossing and kept an eye out for a campsite.
I just took a look at the GPS and it says there's a campsite marked up here that I didn't see before.
How close are we to the top?
Fairly close.
Okay, so it wouldn't make that much of a difference. We can settle guilt-free. You can tell we're nearing the top too, because that wind is rushing over the top of the ridge there. It's a lot more noticeable.
Oh yeah. It will never not be surprising how fast it gets dark. Oh, this is it right here.
Oh. What say ye?
I say if we can fit our tent there, 100%.
I was just thinking we probably want to take one before we get any higher because we're still relatively sheltered from the wind.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Plenty of hemlocks all around for kindling. Gotta be careful with that dead tree there.
We settled into camp and then excitedly set up our 4-person tent.
Oh man. I'm getting in and never coming out.
While setting up, we realized we were missing an important component of the tent.
So apparently we don't have the tent stakes, but luckily very easy to find some sticks and carve them down into a point.
These White River knives sent to us by our viewer TS made the whittling an easy task.
With the tent set up, we took in the winter scenery around us.
In wooded wilderness, it takes effort to escape the winter's harsh cold. But out here, you also see its unimpeded beauty.
Although it might sound daunting, and it takes some experience, camping in the winter can give you a newfound appreciation of the season that we often denigrate as being drab and lifeless.
As we continued settling into camp, Robby started cooking a hot meal for dinner.
While they're getting the tent ready, I'm gonna get tonight's dinner ready. Dinty Mora beef stew with rice.
Classic.
First up, we got the cooked rice. It is not very warm, but the stew is. So with any luck, the stew will warm up the rice.
Oh, nice. That's decently warm compared to how cold my fingers were, though.
Very ready for this.
Oh yeah. Oh baby.
Not only does it taste good, it feels good as it thaws everything.
Classic taste. I haven't had Dinty Moore beef stew in like years. It used to be like a staple when we were growing up as a child.
Did other people do that? Eat it with rice?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was like what you were supposed to do.
Well, I wonder kind of if that was a Chinese thing because we just always had rice on hand.
I don't remember ever eating this stuff, but it tastes very nostalgic. So I must have. This will be good fuel for my search for firewood.
That's the other hurdle. Gotta get that fire started.
Yeah.
If that fire doesn't get started, it's just straight into this tent.
I'm gonna look for some more wood.
Okay.
Finding kindling around here was an easy enough task, but finding larger pieces of wood required a bit more effort. I set up a fire lay while Robby ate his serving of beef stew.
Andrew, you're doing God's work here. Quick. I probably haven't had this in maybe 16 years. My dad, this was like his quick and easy meal when we needed dinner.
All right, so we've got some fire starter here. I think we've got a cotton ball soaked in Vaseline or something. And this is from Ron Mueller. And on the note it says, fire starter, do not consume or show to Andrew. But Ron, the secret is out, and I am incredibly thankful that we have this right now. Yeah, there we go. And then now I'm gonna hope that this actually lights. Oh God. Come on. There we go. Oh man, come on. Oh man, okay. I'm gonna need to use more tinder, so. This is crazy because these hemlock branches are so thin and they usually go up so easily. But I'm gonna just have to use some extra fire starter and.
You think it's enough this time?
Yeah, I'll need those fatwood sticks pretty quick though. Put these on here just so that starts burning. There we go. Come on.
You think it's actually burning yet, or
I think it's just starting.
Just the fatwood?
There we go. Some of it's catching now. It's amazing how much the cold weather makes a difference. Like this stuff usually would just go up so fast. I'm gonna pull more fatwood out just in case.
It keeps looking like it's gonna start, and then
I know. Here,
Just-
take that for now.
oh, there we go. There we go.
Yep.
Oh, baby. Burn me, snake. Burn me more.
Oh man.
Oh, winter is really tough to camp in, but I feel nothing if not alive.
That is true.
Pretty good campsite too.
There was no other option than to stay here. How do you guys think we'll sleep tonight?
Hopefully, get that first night bonus. Sleep till like noon tomorrow.
Man, upside down fires are the way to go.
Well, that's a good amount of heat for the amount of flame that we got.
Yeah.
I can't actually see it, but
Yeah, Robby's like a blind prophet.
Yeah, it's like this warmth. It was a necessary boost, but I'm also very ready to go to the tent.
Yeah.
you worked for that fire, boy.
Yeah.
You earned that one. I did not.
He cooked that food for us.
That's true. Everybody played their part.
We warmed up by the fire for a long while, then retreated to our tent.
God, I love this tent. Oh man, it's like so comforting to just have room. Welcome. God, I can't do anything. Hands are so cold.
Yeah.
Who wants the middle?
You can have Mill. Let's just get our stuff blown up first. I don't think I've ever grunted this much doing anything. Like literally, I've ran miles and I've been less winded. Check this out. I got a new sleeping mat, and it's got a little blow-up bag. It's kind of interesting how it works. You just hook it on, and you create a little air pocket,
And it self-inflates?
and then you just roll this. Dude, it is so much warmer in here.
So, how much clothes does everybody have? I think I'm gonna wear 3 or 4 pairs of pants. 3 long sleeve shirts.
I definitely need to change my socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything off.
This is like my favorite part of winter camping though.
It is.
It's so fun.
the best.
Oh man, this tent is awesome. This is the moment I've been waiting for since I woke up today.
All three of us, as soon as we woke up, like, man, I can't wait to get in that tent.
Can't wait to eat that monkey.
Shirt number 2. Classic unisock action.
Look at you two.
Bryan looks like
Two little hibernating caterpillars.
oh man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Can't wait to pupate. Gotta help Bryan hang his glasses up. It's like no warmth can escape this cocoon.
Bryan, I hope you went to the bathroom already.
I'll make sacrifices.
All right, gentlemen. Good night. Good night.
The next day, the clouds had dissipated to reveal a bright blue sky.
One by one, we started waking up.
Good sense something was up. There's a weird energy coming from Robby over there. All things considered, I actually did sleep pretty well. Like, it didn't feel like good sleep, but by the end of it, I was like, oh, I actually slept a good amount. Yeah. So we have 6.3 today, right?
Today we need to make at least one of the hours that we're hiking a 2 miles per hour hike.
With the long hike ahead of us, we packed up our gear, not wanting to dilly-dally at camp too much.
As we broke camp, our spirits were lifted by the morning sunshine.
And then we headed out. We continued our progress on the trail, following the stream to the junction.
But we had forgotten about the remaining uphill climb.
I didn't expect this right off the bat. One thing we always need to think about when we do winter hiking is if it's snowing, how much slower are we gonna go?
Well, we knew the uphill was going to come at some point, and I think it's all in this section.
Well, this uphill is definitely the best way to warm up right in the beginning.
As we hiked, it was impossible not to notice the snow, which sparkled like starlight in the morning sun.
All around us, an ethereal light emanated through the forest, casting shadows that even seemed bright.
Everything around us, whether below or above, glistened magically.
Eventually, we reached the junction towards the top of the hill.
Okay, we made it.
At the top, we saw a couple of signs and checked our map.
Huh, so there's 2 Horton trails. That's what I thought, but...
This might just be an old sign, actually.
The official map only has 1 trail that goes down. Our GPS has 2 trails that go down, but we're only seeing 1. I'm gonna walk down this one and see which of these trails I'm actually walking on here. Okay, so the trail that is marked on the official map is not this trail. I guess the official map's just out of date.
Yeah, they probably just updated the trail.
Yeah. This is Allegheny. We'll be coming from that direction tomorrow. This way is where we're going down. And it actually looks like there's only 1 path down.
Now, much to our relief, we were headed downhill, and it seemed we hadn't been the first ones here this weekend.
Well, it seems like we're not the only footprints here. If there's footprints, that means it's a trail of some sort.
Wow, it is amazing how much warmer it is in the sun. Just immediately, you feel alive again.
It was an absolutely beautiful day, but the hilly trail was extra precarious in the thawed, slippery snow.
If you've never hiked in the winter, you may not think about it too much, but hiking in snow is actually pretty difficult, especially depending on the trail. In this case, the snow is making everything a bit more slick, so you're more prone to slipping, but on top of that, you can't see where little divots and rocks are. So you really have to watch your step.
We continued making our way down the snowy hillside. As we hiked, we saw a fallen log with orange icicles of frozen sap.
And in the distance was a clear view of the surrounding hills.
With the wintry terrain, we started wondering if our original plans were too ambitious.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe we're going up to those meadows today. We can think about it as we go, but we might want to see if we're even able to get that far.
With the wet snow and ice, the trail was much more precarious, including this section with a flat, slick rock. Experienced hikers know just how much a trail can change with even a moderate amount of snow and ice.
The trade-off is that the scenery around you transforms for the better. We passed by a large boulder covered in moss, snow, and delicate icicles.
And the bright sunlight illuminated a surprisingly colorful landscape around us.
A lot of times people think of winter as a gray, brown, drab season, and a lot of times it is, but I love sunny days like this where the snow is freshly fallen. And there's tons of color actually, like you've got the golden color of the beech leaves, you've got the green of the rhododendrons, the mountain laurels, the club mosses, and then of course this incredible blue sky. It's like so incredible. Yeah.
With our slow progress in these winter conditions, we had decided to change our plans. Instead of hiking over 6 miles up to the top of another hill today, we were going to follow the trail along Seneca Creek and camp somewhere along the way.
The trail now passed over a small gully, where water trickled over the bedrock, and we talked about the day ahead of us.
Dude, this is so beautiful right now.
I don't feel so bad about abandoning the other plan
No, not at all.
because this is going to be a beautiful hike along this creek.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I saw this creek and I was just really happy for some reason.
Yeah, something about this sunny grove of, rhododendrons and this nice little creek, and feels like we're coming back to a base camp or something. Apparently this whole area has lots of good campsites, so we can take many a snack break.
As beautiful as hiking the Seneca Creek trail would be, it did have many wider stream crossings to deal with.
Holy cow. Wait, are we crossing here? It begins. You can see a nice campsite over there.
Before crossing the stream, we wanted to put on our wading boots.
Okay, so try to scout out a good route first and then make sure your foot's secure before you move the other one.
I think you should go this way, Andrew, because the path going up is easier than anything here.
It looks shallower over there though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why don't you go as far as you can and then see how shallow it is.
Whoever was here before came this way too.
Try and break the ice too. To make
Yeah.
sure. That looks doable with our boots. Keep an eye on how high the water goes.
Yeah.
Shallow parts here.
Basically, if it goes past that logo, then I'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
Is it getting deeper?
What?
Is it getting deeper?
A little bit here, but not that bad. I think your boots should still be fine here.
I would stick to the right.
Yeah, this is fine.
Unless that looks, I don't know.
I'm actually gonna go this way.
Okay.
It's a little shallower. Oh, it gets kind of
Yeah,
deep
that's
here, but
at
not
the
too
edge
bad.
of my boots right there.
Yeah.
I will try up there.
Okay, you're gonna try over there?
Yeah.
After Andrew had crossed, I wanted to see if there was an easier route across the stream. Although this path had less rocks and rubble in the way, the water was deeper.
My boots weren't quite as high as the others, so I opted for Andrew's route. Although crossing the stream looked daunting, it wasn't too bad once you were actually in the water. I used the walking stick to make sure the water never got too high for my boots.
Yeah, it's getting a little close, but still so far so good.
Now that we had all forded the river, we took a snack break at the campsite that was just on the other side.
Wow, these seats feel great.
Our next intersection is going to be the Seneca Trail and the Horton Trail. I think we're all committed to abandoning the original plan of going on the high meadows.
That was a plan for completely different weather.
Yeah. I say we stick on the Seneca Trail, and we'll have to do some more crossings, but if they're as manageable as this one is, then we should be just fine.
Yeah. There's gonna be lots of cool campsites along that way too.
I think that plan is definitely the best, especially if the Horton Trail continues to be like what we just did.
Oh, yeah.
That's not manageable.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was a good time.
It is amazing how much a difference winter makes in everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Everything is more difficult.
yeah. I feel like we could have done that trail twice as fast if not for the snow and stuff. All things considered, I'm feeling great though.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. It's like the weather's just steadily getting better.
There was plenty of water here, but we hadn't drank much of our own water anyway, in part because our hoses were all frozen.
The two things that I normally bring, and I didn't this trip for some reason, and I regret it, is an Nalgene and hiking poles.
Yeah, all our hoses are frozen, so we just have to drink this way. Oh, that's refreshing though.
Now, we climbed up from the campsite to the junction just by it. From here, we saw a few things on the trail.
I just noticed these footsteps here. They actually look fresh, as in probably today. So I guess we're not the only ones out here.
There's something up here.
Oh, I think this is one of the falls.
That is really cool, especially with all the ice.
Woo!
We had arrived at Seneca Creek Falls, which had partially frozen over in the cold weather. We watched as the water cascaded down the rocks, sliding over lumps and pillars of ice.
At the bottom of the falls, the water churned, moving around chunks of ice floating on the surface.
On the rocks nearby, icicles exposed to sunlight were slowly melting. Rocks encrusted in ice were thawing in the day's warmth.
After enjoying the falls, we moved on, enjoying the relative warmth of the sun ourselves. The trail led to the top of the falls, continuing to follow the stream. Eventually, we arrived at the next junction and continued on the Seneca Creek Trail.
We came to the top of a small cascade and crossed over the creek. On the other side, we noticed some paw prints in the snow.
Some dog tracks here, but no human tracks, so lost dog, or maybe Andrew said maybe a coyote.
Oh, another nice campsite right there.
Oh, wow.
We were already seeing many nice campsites, but we continued hiking following the tracks. And eventually, we came to another one of those campsites.
I'm a bigger fan of the camping than the backpacking. Not that I don't enjoy the backpacking, but when I see campsites like these, I'm just like, man, I can see like the tents and it's just hanging out. Always a good feeling, even if you're not going to stay at that campsite.
I think we'll actually get to camp relatively early today, so we'll have a good amount of time to enjoy the campsite.
The path now led us through a flatter, meadowed area along the stream bank. In the warm evening light, the beech leaves seemed to give off an especially amber-colored glow, highlighting the stunning winter scenery around us.
We continued on, the trail becoming even more flat, open, and inviting. As we hiked, we passed by mossy rivulets and more icy cascades.
Looks like there's a fork in the stream, so I think we have to cross something.
See any blazes? There's one on that tree over there.
It looks like the path continues on the right, actually.
Oh, okay.
So we just have to go over this rubble here.
Okay.
Follow the dog's footprints.
Oh, cool. That's its footprints right there?
Yeah.
We scrambled over the rocks and continued on, passing by yet more campsites in the distance.
The sun sank lower on the horizon, and we continued following the dog tracks to our destination.
We have another crossing, and it does look like the dog just took this whole trail.
This stream crossing was much shallower and flatter, but there were still many large, slick rocks that we had to avoid stepping on. It was better to step on the smaller grit in between the larger stones.
We also noticed thin, crystalline layers of ice on the water's surface. And on the opposite banks of the creek, we saw the dog tracks yet again.
Looks like the little doggo made a loop-de-loop, get some water, and continue on his way. It almost feels like we have a little pal with us.
We continued on, enjoying the warm light.
It is amazingly warmer. Like, I'd almost say that it's comfortable right now. I could live with this.
It's funny how warm just above freezing feels after you've been 10 below.
But the terrain was still very slick.
Whoa! You right?
It's really muddy. We got a stick here.
And what a stick!
We had come to a muddy, slippery section of the trail, which was peppered with slick rocks hidden just under the snow.
But eventually, we were back on relatively stable ground and getting ever closer to tonight's potential campsite.
We're getting really close to a bunch of nice campsites, and if they're good, we'll stay there, but if not, we've got Judy Springs where we stayed at the last time, which is, we know, a great campsite.
I'm very excited. And it'll still be light out.
Man, getting to your campsite when there's plenty of light and plenty of time to hang out, the best.
And all the while, we were still following the dog's trail.
You can even see where the dog jumped over. See, it's got like 2 paws here. It scraped a little bit of this. Or probably hopped on the log and hopped off. It's funny.
The trail passed through patches of rhododendrons and eventually led us to another waterfall.
Yeah, I definitely hear water rushing.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's nice, yeah. It's like one of those multi-tiered waterfalls. The way the ice builds up on the logs and the rocks is just so cool. It makes these weird, lumpy masses.
Oh, there's a campsite right here too.
Yeah, the GPS says there's a ton of campsites all over here. Bunch of firewood here too.
I'm being a campsite elitist now, but as far as campsites go, this one's kind of mid. Feels like there's really not much space.
Yeah, we got a bunch of options, so let's keep going.
Yeah.
I think there's at least 5 more campsites, and the 5th, from what I've heard, is supposed to be the nicest.
The one on the GPS is specifically marked Scenic Campground, so I'm gonna assume that's the best. Yeah, there's one across the river.
In the distance, we could see an opening with sunlight spilling through.
Yeah, you can tell that this valley up ahead is where we camped at last time.
A lot more footprints here.
Maybe there's a whole pack of dogs.
Another campsite here.
This one's nice.
Wow, just amazing campsites.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there's another crossing over here.
It's quite calm, not too deep. And I think I can see the dog prints over there too.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. There's a bunch of dog prints right here. It almost looks like they were rooting around over here. Oh, and there's a bunch of fur too.
Oh yeah.
There's an animal here.
Oh, whoa. There's a whole carcass. Yeah, you can see the bone. Yeah, I think it's a pelvis and a leg bone right there. Must be a deer.
Yeah, so maybe it's a pack of coyotes or something.
We came to another stream crossing, this one much tamer, but on a wider section of the creek. We carefully navigated our way across the rocky creek bed. On the other side, we again saw the coyote tracks in the snow.
It looks like the coyote was trying to figure out how to get across this little gap too. It like comes here and then turns around. It looks like it was just investigating over here because they continue this way.
Up ahead, we saw yet another campsite across the creek, next to a small waterfall.
Is that the one?
No, the scenic campground's supposed to be on the right. So whatever that one is, it's also pretty good though.
And then Andrew spotted something in the distance.
Oh, I see it.
Oh,
I see
yep.
the falls and the campsite there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna be good.
Oh yeah.
I've been waiting since I got up this morning for this moment.
I think the coyote goes into the campsite too. Huh?
Followed this coyote all the way to the campsite.
Yeah. Oh, there's a fire pit here too.
Oh, that's the one.
There's a whole table too.
Oh my goodness. Woo. What?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Like a grindstone.
That is great. Holy cow.
Finally, we had arrived at our campsite, situated right next to a beautiful waterfall. We cleared the snow off the table and the stone seats and took a moment to relax.
Where did this grindstone come from? How did they get it in here? With the snow, you can see the pattern of like the carving of it.
It's really funny how when things go really well, it seems like it was the only option that made any sense. My only trepidation about this trail was that we'd have to do a lot of those crossings, but all the crossings are manageable
Yeah.
and the campsites are amazing.
It is funny how well this has gone so far.
Yeah.
This trip.
And the weather really turned very comfortable.
Yeah, that sun made a huge difference.
You got something good for us for dinner tonight?
Oh, some decent stuff.
But before dinner, we took some time to just take in our surroundings and enjoy the peace and tranquility. Then we started setting up our campsite. I set up the tent with Robby while Andrew went off to look for firewood.
It's a good thing it's still light out because definitely have to walk further to find more wood. I think because there's so many campsites, the areas near the campsites have been picked pretty clean. There's probably stuff on the ground, but it's all covered in snow too.
As we set up our campsite, the evening light grew warmer and warmer as the sun sank behind the hills.
the shadows grew longer, I continued collecting wood.
So there's plenty of tinder and stuff. Between the small sticks, there's good kindling. There's also lots of birch trees with bark all over the ground. And then there's this chaga fungus here, which is also good for making fire. And then over here, so here's more of that dead birch bark, and this one has some horseshoe fungus growing on it. I don't think I'm gonna need it to start the fire. We've got plenty of tinder. Now I'm gonna look for some bigger pieces of wood, but it's kinda, I don't know, it seems kind of barren here. It's funny, there's lots of birch and hemlock, which are great for fire, but a lot of the dead twigs are covered in snow or out of reach.
While I continued scrounging, Robby cleared out the fire pit, and Bryan helped search for firewood.
How'd it go?
Decently. I might go grab one more big piece that I saw, then I think we'll be okay.
I started sawing the bigger pieces of wood into a more manageable size, while Andrew continued his search.
I cleared out the fire pit and prepared the fire lay. Once everything was sorted out, I used more of the prepared tinder and some of the birch bark to make sure that we got a strong fire going. Thankfully, this time, the kindling caught pretty quickly. Bryan ferried over more bundles of kindling, and before long, we had a steady flame going.
Is it warm yet?
Depends on how close you want to get, yeah.
Now, it was time to cook dinner.
I've never made congee with instant rice, but this is instant rice, and it's got a bit of chicken stock powder and dashi powder for flavor. It's about 1 cup of rice. I'm gonna do maybe like a full thing of this, which is maybe 4.5 cups. That'll give us like a pretty thick congee.
What about this fire?
One of you can keep feeding it.
Yeah, I can watch it.
Nice thing with these boots, I can just go in the water. Since we're boiling it, I'm just using the raw stream water.
Using river water meant we had to get the congee to a good boil, so we stoked the fire back up to get it nice and hot.
Oh yeah, that's boiling.
After a while, the pot started steaming. I added rice to the pot and let it cook.
I don't know with the campfire and all those different factors, but usually when you make congee, the boiling of the water actually causes the rice to hit the sides of the pan, and that actually encourages the rice to break apart and release all the starch, and that's what makes the congee nice and thick.
And while the congee cooked, Andrew prepared another dish.
This might be a little ambitious, but I have this spiced dough that I'm gonna try to make, at least some of it, and I figure we can cook it on a stick.
I gotta know what Bryan thinks of this.
I'm just thinking of when he made ash cakes for us.
So this has brown sugar, cinnamon, raisins, and pumpkin seeds, so it's a very autumnal dough.
With the cold weather and having to cook on a campfire, the bread seemed a bit too ambitious.
I really hope I don't regret this.
I'm regretting it for you right now.
All right, so I'm gonna need a more manageable piece of the dough. Once this is nice and kneaded, I'm gonna wrap it around this stick and we can cook it over the fire. Form it into this turd looking shape. I promise it'll taste pretty good. I know how it looks, but I promise it'll work.
Longtime viewers of our channel will know that he's 50% right.
Kind of looks like a sweet potato if you think of it more innocently.
Bryan carved up a stick, which I wrapped one of the lumps of dough around.
See how this goes. It sort of works for now.
My doubts are through the roof.
The congee had finished cooking just as we got the first piece of bread on the fire. Now, it was time to eat.
Here. So we got this congee. It actually turned out decently, I think.
Okay, and is congee a Chinese word or something? Is that why you keep saying it weird?
Congee is actually a Tamil word. The way you would call it in Chinese is zhou or juk, but congee is just kind of the westernized version of how you call it now.
It smells good. It smells just like a chicken soup, basically.
It actually turned out pretty decently. It's a little waterier than when I make it at home. And then we've got an Adventure Archives classic, which I've talked about this on an old video, but I don't think we've ever brought these camping. But this is a preserved duck egg. Actually, it's kind of, hopefully it's
Looks a little frozen.
not too frozen, yeah.
What do they preserve it with? Lye or something?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how the process works, but as you can see, the inside just looks like obsidian. And when you cut it open, the yolk inside is super creamy, and the egg white is almost like gelatinous, jello-y substance. When I was a kid, I couldn't get enough of this stuff. Like, I actually really, really liked eating this stuff. To many, it's an acquired taste, but I feel like when you mask it with enough other stuff, the preserved taste doesn't come through, and it's just a really great texture.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Look at
heat
this.
mine up with the porridge.
Yeah, let's, yeah. And then I've also got these canned eels. I'm just gonna open one for now and we can share.
Yeah.
Another classic, also probably frozen a bit. But I'm just gonna scoop some of this in here.
All right.
We've got our preserved egg, roast eel, and rice.
All right.
Ooh, it is nice and warm still. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
All right, bottoms up.
Yeah.
Man, that eel is delicious.
The yolk has this creaminess that I just love.
Everything just kind of comes together in the end.
Yeah.
Wow, this is hot enough to really, really feel good. So many flavors. All at once, just
Get yours
combining
now
together.
so it doesn't cool down.
Yeah, when we grew up, we would eat congee that was kind of plain, but we would have a lot of side dishes and toppings. But now when I make it, I always cook the rice with chicken broth so that it's really flavorful.
When I was a kid, my dad would eat congee, and I'd be like, "No, that's a bridge too far for me."
It didn't look that
I was,
appealing?
yeah, it just didn't look appealing, but probably would have liked it had I actually eaten it.
One good thing about congee for this kind of weather is that you can just let it sit on the heat until you're ready to eat. So it's like just hot, always hot.
This could have been completely flavorless, and as long as it was hot as it is, I would have been super happy with it.
Yeah. When you're out in conditions like this, you start understanding why every culture has a porridge or a stew.
Yeah.
All right, while you guys enjoy that, I'm gonna tend to the bread-ish. The weird bread.
After eating, Andrew decided to bake the rest of the bread in the now empty pot. The dough on the stick wasn't looking too great, though.
Well, this one on the stick just is not cooking evenly enough, so we might just have to let that burn through. But the question is if we can get enough embers that it's an even bake.
I now boiled some water for hot cocoa while Andrew continued tending to the bread.
So I've got it over some hot embers, and I've got some embers on top, so it's more of a convection kind of thing. So fingers crossed we'll get some sort of decent baking happening, but we shall see.
In the meantime, we prepared our hot cocoa along with another treat.
And while pineapple cakes are not necessarily a Chinese New Year's snack, it is almost Chinese New Year's, so it feels kind of appropriate.
My dad gave me a whole box of these for Christmas. And you'd think that'd be a weird Christmas gift to give to someone, but I like these a lot.
Yeah. Think it and sink it. I'll share mine with yours. All right. It's nice and hot.
That was great. Woo! So sweet, so hot.
Man, pineapple cakes are nostalgic.
Yeah.
I feel like it was always like your dad or someone who was always bringing a whole sleeve of them when we'd have family gatherings. If you've never had a pineapple cake, it's got this gooey, gummy pineapple filling inside, and the outside is this wonderfully flaky texture.
They have different flavors too.
I'm gonna try dipping this.
Yeah, they have different flavors, but pineapple's the only one that I always remember.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Wow.
It's gonna be a good night.
You know, there's like ups and downs on a lot of trips. But it's mostly been ups.
Yeah. There were some like bits we weren't sure about, but it all turned out so well.
Yeah.
Just like that bread.
And we're not even in the tent yet.
I know. It's gonna be so good. All in one big tent. And it's gonna get even warmer throughout the night.
Oh my God.
We're probably gonna get too warm.
Yeah,
It's gonna
just
be
taking
so
off
good.
layers. Like, oh, it's too hot. It's too hot.
Now it was time to check the baked bread. Hopefully the fire hadn't burnt it into oblivion.
Oh, wow. That's not as horrible as I thought it would be.
That looks pretty good.
The
How the tables have turned.
The bottom might be burnt, but the rest of it might be solid.
Wow, that actually looks delicious.
So, bottoms are...
Wow.
The bottoms have vulcanized, but the tops look good.
Tops look really good.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. Okay, break one open and see what it looks like.
Wow, look at that.
Huh? Impressive.
The irony is I cooked it like this to avoid the ash cake problem, but I still have this ash cake problem. But let's pick at this. So it's cinnamon, brown sugar, pumpkin seeds, and raisins.
Wow. A success.
Considering the circumstances, it's pretty good.
I had less than zero faith in you. Really quite good.
You've definitely got that cinnamon coming through. The raisins are kind of a nice compliment.
And the problem is I'm too full.
I applaud the effort. Yeah. See? Kind of worked.
I think that is one of your strengths. You're willing to try things and persevere, even in the face of certain doom.
I mean, if he's willing to carry those ingredients and go through the cooking, then I guess he can do whatever he wants.
After our full meal, we retreated to the tent, looking forward to falling asleep in its cozy embrace.
It's gonna be a good night, but it's 6:50.
Didn't we go to bed at the same time last night too?
You know what? You're right. It's gonna be the same as last night.
Probably could have spent more time by the fire, but...
This seems like what my body wants.
Yeah. When I was by the fire, I was like, I could be warming up my hands by the fire, but I can just put them in my pockets and it would be just as effective, if not better.
It is nice to, like, be settled into a tent.
Oh, yeah.
Just be done with all that.
I love this tent. I do love it.
This is great.
This might be one of the best improvements in gear that we've ever had.
This tent is the best character on an adventure.
Oh, man.
The next morning, Andrew and Bryan were completely encased in their sleeping bags. I got out of our tent and found that our remaining water had completely frozen over, so we would have to fill up this morning.
Our GPS is telling us that it is currently 39 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to get up to 45 at 12 and 50 at 2 o'clock. Doesn't feel that much warmer right now. Sun is just starting to peek out.
I went to collect some water for our gravity filter. As the others woke up, I realized the filter didn't seem to be working. We figured that something in the filter might have been frozen.
We might have to do this where there's sunlight or something.
Does it need a vacuum or something? Because it's flowing when I take this filter off.
Okay, well, we think the filter must just be frozen, so we're going to leave it in the sun and hope that it eventually starts flowing. I am doubtful.
Why?
Because I've been putting this in my armpit, trying to warm it up, and if that's not doing it, doubt the sun will do it. It's not that warm outside.
The other thing is I don't think there would have been any water in it, which is weird, but I don't know.
We packed up the tent while we waited for the filter to thaw.
And then we headed out.
It was another sunny day, and the snow glittered in the morning light.
Back at the filter, there had been no progress.
Nope. I think I'll just empty it out, try to warm up the filter by the time we get to the next water source, and try again.
We continued on, still following the dog tracks we had seen yesterday.
Yeah, last night I felt like it almost felt colder than the night before, even though it wasn't. And it's like every minor inconvenience just kept me awake. But there were moments where I fell asleep, but it didn't feel nearly as good as the first night, I don't think.
Next time we come out in the winter, I'm gonna bring a thermometer because I don't trust that weather report. I definitely felt colder last night too. I think only Bryan felt warmer.
Yeah, for me it was the opposite experience. The only problem is I kind of had a headache the whole night, so that ruined my sleep.
But now it was time to escape the cold, and the trail led us out of the shade and into the warm, bright sunlight.
It's like twice as warm in the sun.
Finally, some warmth.
So this is where we hiked out of last time, and there's that really cool campsite up there that we were gonna stay at. And then we ended up staying in that meadow over there. Want to take a quick gander?
Yeah, let's go take a look. And this is where we're going up to. Wow, still a great campsite. I didn't realize how close we were. There's a coyote again.
I think that's the same Chaga fungus I made coffee with last time.
Okay, let's give this filter one more try, see if it melted by now.
All right.
I filled up at the familiar stream bank and hung the filter on a nearby tree.
Thankfully, it seemed like the filter had thawed by now, as it started trickling. With the filter working, we reminisced on our last time here.
Man, that last campsite was really good, but this one's still primo. You get like so much flat space, and the sun will hit you like the minute it peeks over that.
That's true. We would have been warmer if we were here. It was still, that was definitely A tier. I think this is S tier.
S tier, yeah.
It's so weird to be back here.
It is weird.
It's like almost the exact same conditions too. After enjoying the beautiful campsite and filling up our water, we got our gear put away and headed out.
Okay, so 5 miles to do today. The first mile or so is gonna be extreme uphill, and then after that it's flat or downhill the rest of the way.
That is a comforting thought. Even though it's a long hike, it should be pretty easy.
Gotta front load that uphill.
On our way back to the junction, we took a look at the cascade near the campsite that we had seen last time.
Now, we would retrace our steps and the coyotes on the Bear Hunter Trail.
Turns out we are actually still hiking with the coyote.
So interesting.
And being a wild animal must be crazy. You're just wandering all over here all the time.
Then, we took a look at another familiar area on the trail.
You remember coming here and thinking, man, what a great campsite. And then we wandered down there and found an even better one. This is a great spot though.
If we ever come back, we'll stay at this campsite.
Yeah. Although if it's in the summer, it won't be the same.
Now, we had a decent uphill trudge ahead of us. Along our way, we saw some horsehoof fungi and the beautiful stream that ran alongside the path.
Though we weren't looking forward to the uphill climb in the snow, the trail really wasn't as bad as we thought it might be.
Fortunately, this trail is exactly how I remember, which is a very gradual uphill. We did it downhill last time, of course, but also I remember it being quite short to the next junction.
Yeah.
So if we can just keep this up for a little bit, we'll be home free.
The babbling brook had created interesting ice formations on the detritus around it, and nearby, we saw a stick with some edible woodier fungus growing.
The trail now crossed over the shallow stream and continued on the other side of the gully.
In the open canopy above, we heard the drums of a nearby woodpecker.
So earlier as we were hiking, we heard the caws of a pileated woodpecker, and we just heard the drumming of one too. There's several woodpeckers that are still around in the wintertime. They don't migrate elsewhere. And I think that sound of the drum echoing through the forest in winter is like one of the most nostalgic nature sounds ever. It's great.
Okay, we're just about halfway. So if you can do what we just did one more time, we're good to go.
Although the snow hadn't melted as much as we had expected today, we couldn't help but notice the vibrant greenery poking out from the snow, whose colors seemed to pop even more in the sunlight.
As we hiked, we noticed the snow becoming slushier beneath our feet.
Even as I'm hiking, I can tell that it's warming up because the snow feels much stickier and wetter. I can even do one hand.
In the exposed part of the trail, we saw delicate strands of needle ice poking out from the dirt.
Quite an uphill.
Yeah,
We're so close, but it feels so far still.
we can see the top now at least.
Yeah.
We're gonna bend up and go this way a bit and then hit the junction. We can take a break up there.
It's a nice feeling after the fact.
From here, the incline now greatly increased in steepness. Combined with the slushy snow, it made for quite a strenuous climb.
Oh boy, it's getting real steep up here. Wow, that looks really steep.
There's probably only like 50 feet left, but it feels so much longer than that. Oy.
Ooh. Oh, so close. I can taste it. I can see the sign. Oh yeah. Oh, heck yeah. We made it. Ah!
Whew. I remember sitting by this tree, eating my trail mix.
Yeah, I think I ate an apple here.
I remember that meadow too.
Yeah,
Oh man.
not bad.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that really made that, make you earn that last bit.
Now, it was time to catch our breath and enjoy a snack. Bryan and I combined our various snacks into a Voltron of trail mix.
Let's get a little bit of everything in this bite. The sweetness of the M&Ms and the honey roasted peanuts and the saltiness of the cashews. Just what I need.
Man, it's so quiet today.
Yeah. It is such a clear, sunny day. It's like so perfect.
So how do you guys feel about coming back to Seneca for the second time?
Feels great. I love
Yeah.
this place now.
Yeah.
It's funny that we've only been here in the winter, but it's like, it feels like we're reliving a memory.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly how I remember it when we were
Yeah,
here.
actually the weather that day was very similar to what it is right now.
Yeah.
It's like a good way to start the year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The Bear Hunter Trail was, to our delight, relatively flat, wide, and easy to hike. And during this time of the year, with the bare trees, it offered a fantastic view of the neighboring hills.
Up above, we saw a small plane soaring through the air, and along the trail, we saw snowless patches of undisturbed soil.
Further up on the trail, we saw something else as well.
I think it's turkey tracks.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Whole flock of them.
The tracks gave us a clue about the disturbed soil we had passed by earlier.
If you look here, you can see turkey tracks coming out of this really scuffed up area. Oh, yeah. That's probably where they slept. And this might have been deer. You can see one set of tracks right there and then some more impressions over there. That's funny, if you came out here at night, probably see some deer sleeping on the trail.
I think I see a faint coyote print going this way and more turkey tracks going this way. All these tracks are pretty old though, so this might have been a while ago.
Yeah, look, up ahead. Wow, it's a whole village.
These tracks are so old, it's hard to tell what made them, but it looks bigger than turkeys for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
It looks like deer, I think.
Well, some of these look like they could be turkeys. Like that looks like a 3-point one. Yeah. Wow, that is crazy.
I mean, I guess that's what you would do if you were huddling for warmth.
Yeah. That is one thing that's really fun about the winter, is that you can actually see signs of wildlife that normally our untrained eyes would never see.
Yeah. Like there's subtleties, like you can see that the dirt has been tossed up and stuff, but if there was no snow, it'd be really hard to tell. These do look like turkey tracks actually, because I'm seeing this faint 3-prong shape.
Yeah.
Kind of see it here. Wow, that is a lot of them.
Cool.
Unlike the wildlife, plants are harder to figure out in the winter.
So this is a young striped maple. You can see the sort of striped pattern on the bark here. But one of the giveaways that it's a maple is if you look up at the branches, it's opposite branching, meaning they come out at the same point rather than being alternating. And that's one of the key clues of what a tree is in the winter when there's no leaves or anything like that. Yeah, so in this area, you've also got all these red, thorny canes growing up. And I believe these are in the rubris genus, which is in the same genus as like blackberries and raspberries. So in the summertime, this is probably a place where you could possibly pick some berries. But I think you see a lot of these shrubs and brambles growing here because it's a particularly open, sunny area. So this is the remnants of a medicinal plant. We've talked about this in the summertime, but this is called self-heal or heal-all. It's in the mint family, and usually it's green and it sometimes has these pink flowers, but now it's just this desiccated husk.
This meadowed area seemed like it could have been a farm at one time.
There is some type of post right there. Could have been an old settlement or something. I want some more up here too. Yeah. This looks like it used to be fenced off.
We also found another campsite at the edge of the woods by this meadowed area.
Good to know for the future.
Yeah, this would be a nice area. Reminds me of that first campsite we had here. This is the kind of hike that dreams are made of. Flat, almost slight decline, beautiful, sunny blue sky, wonderful scenery.
Yeah, this is great.
So good.
We continued along the Bear Hunter Trail as the afternoon sun to our backs grew ever warmer. Through the leafless woods, we saw the treetops on distant hills, now thawed and free of the ice that had encased them just the day before.
Now, we came to another junction, where the trail would lead us downhill.
Man, that trail was nice to hike.
It's very nice. So that's Spring Ridge. We're gonna continue on this until we get to Horton.
Horton, here's a who.
The path led us through another field, which gave us a clear view of the brown, almost purplish hills in the distance.
Before long, we were back at the junction that preceded our final hike out.
Hiking in the winter is really challenging, but it's still really fun. Like I love hiking in the winter. Maybe 20 degrees and below is a little bit past my comfort level, but
It's very rewarding.
yeah,
That's for sure.
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I love how the scenery just opens up in the winter. Anything looks beautiful in the winter. We've been to places where it's like a paved parking lot, but it all just looks like a snow-covered field.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some parts here that would just feel really thick and claustrophobic in the summer, but right now it just couldn't be more open.
When we were walking on that ridge, just the fact that you could see into every like part of the forest, for some reason it made it more welcoming to me.
I think that's something that's lost with civilization is you don't get that aspect of winter. Like it's so easy to feel gloomy and depressed during winter when it's all gray and stuff, but when you're out here, you see a nice blanket of freshly fallen snow, and it's just like, it gives you the same optimism that you feel on a nice summer day or like in the spring or something.
Yeah, this level of quietness is not something you'd find in any other season.
This is a very nostalgic feeling though. Like I feel like we've had so many times where we've been winter camping, or not even camping, but just out and about during the winter.
Yeah.
And it's such a perfect, quiet, sunny day like this. Man.
This is like the perfect time to like drive back to Bryan's house during twilight and then get a pizza from Donato's and then play Wii bowling.
Classic.
Oh, man. These are good times.
Good times. Yeah. All right. Shall we?
Now, we gathered up our bags and made our way back down the hill to the trailhead.
Before long, we came across a familiar sight.
Looks like somebody camped here. Somebody really small.
You know this was our campsite, right?
Oh, it was?
I thought you were joking at first.
It's funny because that's the big tent.
Yeah, it looks smaller on the outside.
Okay, let's be off.
For many, the winter months can feel like an unending slog. In the first months of the new year, it's easy to feel sick of the cold, the drab colors, and the quiet emptiness.
But in the wilderness, unbridled by civilization and society's restraints, winter's beauty shines through.
The cold becomes a reason to enjoy a warm fire, to delight in a communal meal, and to appreciate a cozy shelter.
The snow ceases to be a hindrance and instead transforms the landscape into a glistening, crystalline landscape.
The cold is less a burden and more an invigorating reminder to appreciate life's every moment.
Rather than avoiding the cold, sometimes it's better to fully immerse yourself in it, to go outside, hike in the woods, and take in the unnoticed, natural beauty all around us.
Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And extra special thanks to our patrons for making these videos possible at all. If you go to patreon.com/adventure, for just $2, you get early access to the videos, commentaries of the videos, and bloopers from the videos, which if you haven't seen, are very funny. At $5, you can get your name in the credits. At $10, you can get a free copy of the soundtrack. And at some of the higher tiers, you can even get a custom shout out. If you want to check out any of the gear that we use in the videos, there are affiliate links in the description below. You can also check out our soundtracks at adventurearchives.bandcamp.com. And finally, we have t-shirts for sale at our Teespring store, which is linked in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.
Okay, made it. Car is still intact.
That's always a great thing.
This is the perfect time for the hike to end. Sweet relief.
I'm ready for that post-hike meal.
I am ready. Let's do it. Technically, we need Bryan for his keys. struck with decision paralysis.
I'm looking at this menu and not a single word has actually entered my brain yet. Anything striking your fancy?
Baked steak sounds kind of good. Or maybe some pasta.
I think we shrunk while we were hiking. Look at these two.
This is like a Andre the Giant sized cup.
It's got to be a liter, right?
You know you're hungry when you've got some delicious food coming and you wish that you brought in a peanut butter sandwich.
I can tell you the smells delicious.
Cream corn is a weird obsession of mine. Fried green fish. Good fish?
Was it fried green beans? Wow, cool. What was that again?
It's like a hamburger steak.
I got the chicken pot pie, replete with cast iron skillet. Oh yeah. Yeah, we got a spelunk in there.
Hot. Are those beanie weenies?
Beans are great. You guys should try the beans. Mac and cheese is great too.
Yeah, those beans are really good. Yeah, good beans.
Hamburger steak, that's underrated.
I feel both full and like I could eat 5 more of these at the same time.
I'm getting full, but this is really good. Oh yeah. Are you good on this? I'm good.
Remember when Robby just ate the most of us all?
That's funny.
This kind of feels like we're in like a weird dream or liminal town, you know?
A town between towns.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cold. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.
Jake Beer would like to shout out his friend Lucas, who got him into backpacking.
TS would like to give a shout out to Nikki and Liam. He says he loves you very much. Thank you for going on the day hike with him, and he promises to get more drone footage next time. TS also wants to give a shout out to us, Adventure Archives, and he says that we encourage others to seek an adventure even if it's for a day, and to seize the day. And also TS, thank you so much for the knives that you sent us. I love them, they're awesome, they're super sharp, and our adventures are better off with them.
Mela would like to give a shout out to Joey for keeping their adventure alive. And she'd also like to give a shout out to all the adventurers around the world who are keeping our parks and access lands clean.
Eleanor Anthony would like to shout out her husband Robert. Happy birthday, and it's time to retire so you can hike the Sierras.
Madeline Holly would like to give a shout out to Tommy. She can't wait to expand her crew with one small new member. And take it from me, we love having a new member named Tommy in our crew.
Not to be. That is the question.
Wait, don't move. I gotta get up.
Welcome to the Leon and Lou Lin VHS dating service.
Hello out there, ladies. My name is Dan Vulcans. I'm a 6th Dan karate black belt, and well, I guess I'm looking for love. I'm looking for the goddess. Who is the goddess? The goddess is a woman, is any woman, is all woman, is every woman. The goddess is Morgan Ariel Weinrich. The goddess is Christina Alvarez. The goddess is Sue and Tan, minus the Tan part. So if you're interested in a guy who likes to have fun, hit me up, give me a call. And if you're ever in danger, I know karate.
Hi, my name's Robby. A lot of people think I look like the very talented and famous Gavin Ryan.
Well, when I'm not studying interpretive dance under Akuyaji Asari, I like to ride on my motorcycle into the sunset.
And I decided I'm lonely.
Ladies, let's say we've just gone a romantic ride on one of Great Lakes Watercrafts.com's watercrafts. We get back to the pier. I've just dominated 5 rounds of skee ball and won you the biggest teddy bear there is to win. But suddenly, some creep tries to steal it from you. Well, don't worry. Right in the nuts, because I know karate.
There's a new supervisor rising, Charlie Joe. He's focused on a subject he's calling Mary Sinkavage. He's also looking for a link to Sunjan Huang.
Oh, this is good.
Why is this good?
Because she's wasting time.
You had nothing to do with Sunjan Huang?
We were invited but declined. But this can't be why you're here.
Tell me why we're really here today, Jason Bourgeois.
I can't do this anymore.
We took a vow.
I'm giving you Charlie Joe. I'm giving you Salvador Gonzalez. I'm warning you about James Rokitsky. I'm honoring my vow. I've been working my way through there for 6 years. Working my way up. Alone.
What was your plan? Gather a big basket of goodies for me as a farewell gift? What were you going to tell Jasper Capps?
My health. My wife's family has an export business. Expedition Research, LLC.
Even as you say the words, you know it's impossible. We can't let you go, Jason. We can't spare you. You're trapped, Jason. There's no pleasure in saying it. You're going nowhere.
A sacrifice. It means nothing to you, does it?
I said I think of you constantly, and I do. Your investment in the rebellion is epic. A double life, every day a performance, the stress of that. We need heroes, Jason, and here you are.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm, kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I've made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago, from which there is only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, they set me on a path from which there is no escape. I yearn to be a savior without contemplating the cost, and by the time I looked down, there was no ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my life for someone else's future. I burn my life for a sunrise I know I'll never see. And the ego that started this fight will never see a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what is my sacrifice? Everything!
I trained under Richard Frangiamore School of Photography. I guess I'd say, going on a date, I'd like to take walks, and then, like going out for her letting me take pictures of her.
I guess you could say I'm your typical mathematician.
Fascinating stuff, this. Hello, ladies. I'm looking for a woman who can outsmart me, who can carry on an intelligent conversation, and who's familiar with the works of the great John Truitt. So if that's you, please call the number below. And if that's not you, if you just like to spend your time watching hour-long videos on YouTube full of pseudo-intellectual narration, please fast forward, because I'm not interested. My name's Jay Raimundo, and if you sign up for my 8-week program, you'll learn a system of self-defense developed over years spent in the octagon. I call it J-Mundo. I need a volunteer. Alright, you'll do. What's your name, son?
Bryan Kitsune?
Alright, come up here. Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei! Alright, I'm gonna give you one chance. One chance, people. Give me your best shot. Anything you got. Alright, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Now watch this, people. Grab my arm. The other arm. My other arm. I'm just gonna break the wrist and walk away.
Jeez.
Alright, you can sit down. Bow to your sensei first. Alright, now sit down. Alright, who's next? How about you? Come up here. Alright, what's your name, son?
Douglas Jackson.
Alright, I want you to kick me. Do it again. Do it again. Alright, you block it every time. Alright, have a seat. In addition to what you just saw at J-Mundo, you'll learn the 3 principles. Number 1, we follow the buddy system. No more flying solo. You think Bryan and Asi Yamagata got to where they were just by playing the lone wolf? No! You think anyone messes with David and Jennifer Dickerson when they walk around in a pair?
Yes?
Well, you're wrong! You think Bryan and Katia Strom ever get into any trouble when they're walking on the pier together hand in hand?
Yes?
Well, you're wrong too! Number 2, discipline your self-image. You think anyone wants a roundhouse kick to the face in these bad boys? Forget about it. Number 3, self-respect. You think anyone thinks I'm a failure because I go home to San Juan 1 at night? Forget about it.
So who's got some Seinfeld on their phone?
I do.
This is gonna be some good touching, you know what I mean?